Nearly 50 years ago, I stood before the Hamilton Junior High School student body and declared, "I am Vincent Bernard Orange." From that declaration, I became president of the student body. Soon after, I was introduced to a program called A Better Chance by the school head counselor, Mrs. Ann Porsolio, and my English teacher, Miss Ethel Palavin. They stated to me that I could help the Black race by becoming a successful ABC student. The A Better Chance, or ABC program, provides scholarships to minority students whose records show their academic potential to excel at private boarding schools, but who could not attend these schools because of financial limitations. At 14 years old, I kissed my mother goodbye, boarded an airplane as an ABC student, and commenced the journey from Oakland, California to Colorado Springs, Colorado, to attend Fountain Valley Preparatory High School. Tonight, I address you as Vincent Bernard Orange Sr. I declare I am your independent voice for DC Council at Large, number 2 on the ballot, and wholeheartedly dedicated to DC residents. My dedication to DC residents originates from the observation that no one really cares about us. And moreover, ain't nobody gonna take care of us but us. I love the District of Columbia, and I love my DC residents. My wife of 37 years, Gwendolyn Evans Orange, who I met at Howard University, is a DC resident and a highly acclaimed special education teacher. Together, we were fruitful and multiplied and produced 3 Washingtonians, Vincent Jr., Paul Wesley, and Janie Elizabeth, all Oranges and all DC residents. The next generation of Oranges has commenced with our granddaughter, Layla Elizabeth Orange, a Washingtonian and a DC resident. The Lord has blessed me with a beautiful family of Washingtonians and DC residents. In fact, the Lord has blessed me all my life. However, those blessings come with obligations. I have the obligation to protect, defend, and provide for the general welfare of my family of Washingtonians and DC residents. Tonight, I ask you to officially expand my obligation to protect, defend, and provide for the general welfare and benefit of all Washingtonians and DC residents. I see and feel the pain, suffering, neglect, and manipulation inflicted upon DC residents in the name of good government and what is best for you. I know you are tired of the syndrome of do not do as I do as I say. DC residents, I'm here tonight to tell you we are losing oxygen and to put your breathing apparatus on first so we may breathe freely together and embark upon a good quality of life together. Send me as your independent voice to speak truth to power. Let it be known that DC residents are mad as hell and will not be second-class citizens anymore. Let it be known that those in power who claim to know what is best for DC residents, that we see you and we do not like what we see. How can you be for DC residents, Mr. Ed Lazier, when you spend $160 million of DC taxpayer money to provide paid leave benefits to 322,000 non-DC residents of Maryland and Virginia, and in the same breath exclude 94,000 DC tax-paying working residents from those same benefits? And then you say, Mr. Ed Lazier, with a straight face, I'm not taking anything for granted, nor am I leaving anyone behind. Newsflash, and it is not fake news, Mr. Lazier. You just left 94,000 DC residents behind with no paid leave benefits. You are not allowing every DC resident paid leave benefits to bond with a newborn child for 8 weeks, or 6 weeks paid leave to take care of a sick family member, or 2 weeks of paid leave to self-quarantine due to the coronavirus. But you are, Mr. Ed Lazier, spending DC taxpayer money to the tune of $160 million to provide these benefits to Maryland and Virginia residents who work in our beloved city, get paid in DC, and take those dollars back to Virginia and Maryland to be taxed in their home states. And those dollars are not subject to taxation in DC. They never make it to the DC Treasury. And Mr. Lazier, you have the audacity to tax and charge DC businesses $160 million to provide these benefits to non-residents? Our DC businesses are struggling and need the $160 million to survive in our severely damaged DC economy. It is extremely clear to me that you do not speak for, provide for, nor take care of all DC residents. DC residents, DC voters, take off the blinders. Take off the blinders. Take off the blinders right now. Together, we must survive this pandemic and come back better and stronger. We can no longer accept not seeing the forest because of the trees. How can so many DC council members get behind a proposal to spend $152 million to provide everyone a free Metro card? No means test, no income test, no nothing. But can't get behind a proposal to provide a laptop and free access to the internet for every DC school-aged child to effectively and efficiently engage in distance learning or learning in the classroom. How come you can't get behind a proposal to allow every DC resident graduating from high school free tuition to attend the University of the District of Columbia? How come you can't get behind a proposal to build affordable housing for minimum wage workers, those that are making $15 per hour, seniors, and first-time home buyers? How come you can't get behind a proposal to get our returning citizens gainfully employed or starting a business? How come you can't get behind a proposal to provide mobile shower buses, hygiene products, and personal protective equipment, PPE, for the homeless? Now, $160 million for non-residents paid leave benefits, plus $152 million to give everyone a Metro card, that equals $312 million. I'm here to tell you tonight that the proposals that I've mentioned cost far less than the $312 million that these folks are talking about. The proposals that I talk about, they need a voice. They need a champion. And the foolishly wasted dollars by those in charge. DC residents, I will be your independent voice and the champion for your needs and your needs only. I will ensure that DC taxpayer dollars are utilized for the benefit of DC residents. My fellow DC residents, together, we must come back better. We must define the new normal in DC caused by the coronavirus, civil unrest, a far left-wing element in our DC government, and a severely damaged DC economy. I am the only candidate in this at-large race that has been an elected official working with Mayor Anthony Williams and Council Chairman Linda Kropp to eliminate the Federal Control Board in 2001 and build a rainy day fund, our savings account, of nearly $2 billion, which has helped the district financially survive the Great Recession of 2008, the federal shutdown of 2017, and now the coronavirus pandemic. The nearly $2 billion in the rainy day fund, our savings account, has been depleted. We have a remaining balance of approximately $149 million in our rainy day fund. For all practical purposes, it is gone. COVID-19 took away our savings account. We must now replenish the fund or the Federal Control Board comes back. Just imagine a Donald J. Trump control board overseeing the daily affairs of the District of Columbia? I think not. We must jumpstart or reboot our severely damaged economy. For example, our business community must generate $8.2 billion in order for $2.7 billion in taxes to go into the DC Treasury to assist in operating our DC government, funding DC government programs, and providing for the general welfare of our citizens. Jumpstarting the DC economy means our residents go back to work and are able to pay their bills, and our employment rate goes down. And we stop the draining of our unemployment compensation fund, which had a balance in excess of $600 million pre-COVID-19, but is now at an all-time low of less than $200 million and rapidly declining each and every day. If our unemployment compensation fund is depleted and we must borrow from the United States Treasury to pay the weekly unemployment compensation benefits to the DC unemployed, the Federal Control Board comes back. We must avoid the return of the Federal Control Board at all costs. The district government generally gets its funding from individual income taxes, but guess what? People aren't working. There's no individual income taxes coming in. We get funding from sales taxes, but guess what? The million people that come into our city every day, they're not in the city every day. They're not in our stores, in our restaurants. Sales taxes are not being generated. And finally, property taxes. Well, folks can't pay their rent. Landlords can't pay the mortgage. Our property taxes are suffering or will suffer as well. These three sources of revenue in the District of Columbia have been devastated and non-producing. Now, I agree with DC Council Chairman Phil Mendelson, who stated, and I quote, "The dramatic change of ideology on the council is putting at risk the financial stability we built over the years with healthy reserves and a largely competitive tax base." I possess a 40-year investment in the District of Columbia and generations of investments to come. And that's why I'm running for DC Council at Large, to provide mature, experienced leadership, institutional knowledge, and sound judgment to plan and execute the successful comeback of the District of Columbia for the benefit and general welfare of our residents. DC residents and DC voters, if you are not at the table, you're on the menu. It is time to get off the menu and take a seat at the table. I am your independent voice representing you at the table, and I am a firm believer that God blesses the child who has its own. I am here to take care of DC residents first and foremost. DC voters, by electing me as your independent DC Council member at large, you are sending an attorney, a certified public accountant with degrees in taxation from Georgetown University Law Center, law degree from Howard University School of Law, business and communication degrees from the University of the Pacific, and professional certificates from the Harvard University John F. Kennedy School of Government and Crisis Management focused on preparation, performance, and leadership, and the program for senior executives in state and local government to be at the table for you, for us, and our offspring. While at the table before Mr. Lazier, I produced the $15 per hour minimum wage, 5 days of sick leave pay for tip wage workers, and doubled their minimum wage, enacted wage theft legislation, enacted legislation to prevent discrimination in the workplace for pregnant women and transgenders, increased the living wage and tied it to the Consumer Price Index, established DC Emancipation Day as the only DC public holiday in our history, jump-started economic development throughout DC with turning a 25-acre car impoundment lot and salt dome into the Home Depot giant food shopping center, laid the groundwork for the development of Union Market and bringing Costco to DC, jump-started school modernization throughout DC by opening McKinley Technology High School and renovating Noyes Elementary School, jump-started the renovations of recreation centers throughout DC with Turkey Thicket, North Michigan Park, and Brentwood Recreation Centers, and the circulation of the DC dollar in DC, and mandating the DC government to do business and spend $1 billion with our local DC certified business enterprises. DC voters, make sure you know the record. Now let me say that again. DC voters, make sure you know the record. The other candidates cannot run on nor lay claim to the Vincent Orange record. In fact, it is not the Vincent Orange record alone, it is our record, because I could not have achieved these things by myself. We achieved this record together. And in my view, the most notable achievement was winning the debate of schooling without books, which resulted in my legislation mandating our children receive their books and core materials within 2 weeks of each new school year. Today, it is my intent to win the debate regarding schooling without laptops and access to the internet. Together, we will find the way to provide laptops and access to the internet for all school-aged children. In closing, DC residents and DC voters, above all, when you send me to the table, you send a child of God who believes in service above self and providing for DC residents first. Tonight, I humbly and gracefully ask for your vote on or before November 3rd, 2020. I am number 2 on the ballot, and I promise you, I am ready, willing, and able to report for duty on January 2nd, 2021 as your independent, at-large voice on the Council of the District of Columbia. You can and you may vote for 2 at-large council members on your ballot. I must be one of your 2 votes. Please remember, it is all about service above self and providing for DC residents first. May God bless the District of Columbia, its voters, and residents. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for sharing this moment in time with me.
Papa.
One more time.
Vote for Papa.
I can't hear you.
Vote for Papa.
Vote for Pop Pop?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Clap along if you feel